I sit at my aunt's lake house dinner table, back straight against the stiff wicker chair, fingers absently smoothing the edge of the striped napkin in my lap. Aunt Gloria insists on cloth napkins for Saturday family dinners, especially when there's something to celebrate. The chandelier above the rustic pine table scatters soft light across the place settings, dancing across the silverware and wine glasses. The screen door bangs open, and in walks Brielle, my younger cousin by 2 years, but somehow always treated like royalty. She floats in wearing a golden jumpsuit that probably costs more than my entire grocery budget for the month. "Sorry I'm late," she announces, not even pretending to mean it. Traffic from Charleston was unreal. Uncle Walter rises from his seat, his face lighting up. The stern, bored expression he gave me when I arrived 20 minutes ago vanishes. "There's our star," he says, wrapping her in a hug. "Let me look at you." Aunt Gloria abandons her plating duties to hover beside her, hands fluttering around Brielle's left hand, where a blinding diamond ring gleams. It flashes like a lighthouse beacon under the chandelier. "It's even more beautiful in person," Gloria says breathlessly. "Dr. Channing really has impeccable taste." I tug my sweater sleeve down, suddenly aware of the tiny snag near my wrist. My khakis, while ironed, clearly weren't the right choice. Again. "Jessa," Gloria says finally, tossing me a glance like a casual afterthought, "can you help me bring out the shrimp cocktail?" In the kitchen, she hands me a chilled tray and leans in to murmur, "Couldn't you have dressed up a little? This is a celebration, after all." I don't respond. I just walk back out with the tray. What's the point? Once everyone is seated, Walter taps his glass with a butter knife, raising it toward Brielle. "To our shining girl," he declares. Proof that following the family blueprint brings success. A pediatric resident, engaged to a brilliant surgeon, we couldn't be prouder. Glasses clink. I sip my lemonade. After the main course, a hired server clears the plates. The moment feels like a cue. Walter turns toward me now, his smile gone. "Jessa," he says, drawing out my name like it's a problem to be solved. "Have you looked at that MBA program we discussed? Deadlines are fast approaching." I stare at a stray parsley leaf on the tablecloth. Before I can answer, Gloria jumps in, eyes wide with gossip. "Did you hear? Karen Wilmot's daughter just got engaged to that up-and-coming attorney in Asheville. She's around your age, right, Jessa?" Across the table, Brielle leans in with mock warmth and places a hand on mine. "Don't stress, Jess. I can help with your application essays. I know writing's not really your strength." The light flickers in the chandelier. The air in the room feels dense. Like the walls have crept closer. I think back to my teenage bedroom, walls covered with ribbons and sketches I'd won awards for. Quiet victories. All quietly removed before company arrived. Meanwhile, Brielle's debate trophy has had a permanent home in the hallway glass cabinet since the 6th grade. I remember the day Walter called me into his office, his tone grave like he was about to deliver a eulogy. "We're reallocating your college fund," he said. "Art school is nice, but it's not a career. Brielle needs the money for her accelerated program. I'm sure you understand." And I did. I always understood. At every brunch, every holiday dinner, every introduction. "This is Brielle, our brilliant one," Gloria would say. "And this is Jessa, she's still figuring things out." That script never changed. My voice, my ideas, my future, always left on mute. Actually, I hear myself say now, surprising even me. I've been sketching vehicle designs. Just sold a few concepts to a custom garage in Atlanta. The table stills. The chandelier flickers once more. And for the first time in years, I don't feel small. "Designs at Candler's Customs downtown," I say. They're considering using some of my sketches for their custom car builds. The room falls completely silent. Uncle Walter's fork freezes midair, a piece of roast stuck between the plate and his lips. "No niece of mine is going to waste her potential in a garage," he spits, every word sharp and controlled, like carefully loaded ammunition. Aunt Gloria's face goes pale. What am I supposed to tell the garden club, Jessa? She hisses. They'll think you've had some kind of breakdown. Across the table, Brielle is already typing rapidly under the table, thumbs moving like they're dancing. A second later, she places her phone down with a satisfied little grin, eyes flicking toward me before darting back to her salad. No doubt texting her fiancé about how I'm embarrassing the family, again. But I feel surprisingly still inside. Like something heavy has finally been set down. I gently fold my napkin and place it beside my untouched dessert. Excuse me for a moment, I say, my voice calm as I stand. Jessa, we're not finished discussing this, Uncle Walter warns, his tone sharp and fatherly. But I'm already walking, steps light and fast as I move into the hallway. I pause just outside the dining room, hand braced against the wallpaper scratchy beneath my fingertips. She's always been the problem, Walter's voice echoes out, firm and cold. Thank God we have Brielle. We need to find her a suitable husband before she ruins herself entirely. Gloria's voice follows with a heavy sigh. I told you something wasn't right with her. Then Brielle, her tone sugar-slick and cruel, maybe she needs therapy. Or medication. Something's obviously wrong. My hand trembles slightly against the wall. I don't move. I just let the words soak into me like rain into dry soil, acid rain. And then, without a sound, I turn and walk toward the front door. No dramatic speech. No slamming. Just the quiet click of a door closing on 26 years of trying to contort myself into someone they'd approve of. Rain drums against the single window in my studio apartment as I sort through the cardboard box I picked up from my old bedroom last week. I hadn't planned to take much, just a few sketch pads, maybe a couple books. But at the last second, I grabbed a dusty box from my closet shelf. Now, sitting cross-legged on my creaky hardwood floor, I run my hand over the pile of forgotten belongings. My fingers brush against something stiff, an envelope tucked between a folder and a rolled-up poster. I don't remember putting it there. I pull it out, the paper thick and expensive. My heart jolts when I see the crest at the top corner, Westfield Art Institute. The dream. The school I'd been obsessed with since junior year. Across the front, stamped in big red letters, rejected. I swallow hard. This was the application Dad said he'd send in for me. He told me he knew the deadlines. Told me to focus on finishing my portfolio. I'll take care of this, Jess, he said, hand warm on my shoulder. Just trust me. His smile plays differently in my mind now, more calculated. Less kind. It's not the rejection that stings. It's the betrayal. I drop the letter to the floor, heart pounding, and grab my laptop. I log into my bank account. It's the same one I've had since high school. I never closed it, just let it sit, slowly growing from tips at my old diner job, birthday money, commissions for logos here and there. The balance, $237.41. It should be over $5,000. 3 clicks later, I'm in the transaction history. 5 withdrawals. All within 2 months. Each one moved into a joint account I don't recognize. The name listed under joint holder makes my stomach knot, Richard Turner. My uncle. A burning sensation rises in my chest. I reach again into the box and pull out the photo album I'd snagged, not for nostalgia, but for proof. Proof I existed in that house. That I mattered. I flip to the elementary school achievements page. There it is. Or rather, there it isn't. The photo that used to show me standing beside my winning painting, grinning ear to ear at age 10, has been cropped. The easel, the canvas, gone. Just me now, standing awkwardly, hands at my side, like I'm reacting to a ghost. Page after page tells the same story, family events where I'm edged out. Photos trimmed to highlight Brielle. Group shots where I've been pushed just far enough to the margin to be conveniently snipped. A small book slips from between the album pages and lands at my feet. Leather-bound. Familiar. Aunt Gloria's diary. It must have slipped into the photo album by mistake when I hastily packed the box. I know I shouldn't read it, Aunt Gloria's diary, but after everything I've just uncovered, privacy feels like a luxury they never extended to me. I open it anyway, fingers trembling slightly, and flip to a random page. Dated 3 years ago. We've done everything to guide Jessa toward a respectable future. Richard believes another year at home under our supervision should correct her concerning tendencies toward these artistic distractions. Brielle agrees, her cousin needs firmer direction. Concerning tendencies. Like I was a problem to fix. Like the simple act of dreaming was some sort of defect. The walls of my tiny apartment suddenly feel closer, suffocating. Uncle Walter, calculated, always orchestrating. Aunt Gloria, commanding her social circles like generals in battle. And Brielle, my own blood, spying on me, reporting back every deviation from the family script. My life, my entire life, was never truly mine. A crack of thunder shakes the building. I grab my jacket and keys, heart racing, breath shallow. I need air. I need out. Out of this apartment, out of their story, out of the version of myself they keep trying to control. I jump into my old Honda, turn the key. It coughs. Sputters. Dies. Of course. Even the car betrays me. I lean forward, forehead resting against the steering wheel, rain hitting the roof like a ticking clock. I stare through the blurry windshield at the glowing neon across the street, Motorhead's Cafe. Odd name for a coffee shop. A sudden knock on my window makes me flinch. A man, soaked from the rain, leans down, his denim jacket dark with water, hair plastered to his forehead. Car trouble? He calls over the storm. I hesitate, then roll the window down an inch. Just died on me. Pop the hood, he says, flashing a crooked grin. I can take a look. Something about his voice feels safe. Against my better judgment, I do. 10 minutes later, he's standing in the rain, wiping his hands on his jeans. Alternator's shot, he says. I can give you a ride if you need one. I don't even know you, I say cautiously. He extends a calloused hand through the cracked window. Brandon Miller. I run the garage behind the cafe. 20 minutes later, I'm sitting in Motorhead's, which is exactly what it sounds like, a hybrid space that somehow works, espresso machines buzzing beside vintage motorcycles gleaming under soft overhead lights. The air smells like cinnamon and engine oil. Brandon sets a hot mug of coffee in front of me. No charge. My sketchbook is open between us. I must have shoved it in my tote before storming out of the apartment. He's flipping through the pages, his expression focused. These are incredible, he says, eyes skimming over my engine mod concepts, intricate fuel flow adjustments, and aesthetic overhauls for classic bikes. I shrink a little. Just doodles, I mutter. He shakes his head. These aren't doodles. This carburetor idea? That's smart. Really smart. Have you ever thought about doing this professionally? A laugh escapes me, but it's dry and brittle. My family thinks art is a hobby. A waste of time. Brandon meets my gaze. His are warm, steady, flecked with gold. What do you think? The question lands like a brick in my chest. No one's ever asked me that. Not once. Not my uncle. Not my aunt. Not even Brielle. Before I can even try to answer, my phone buzzes 3 times in quick succession. First, from Uncle Walter. Final notice. Palmer internship starts Monday. Your desk is waiting. This discussion is over. Then Aunt Gloria. Dinner with the Richardsons Thursday. Their son just made partner. Wear the blue dress I bought you. And Brielle. Wedding dress shopping Saturday. You're required. Bring the swatches I texted. Don't be late. Even in this open, strange, welcoming space, I feel the noose of expectation tightening again, digit by digit, obligation by obligation. Brandon watches me read the messages. He doesn't interrupt. Doesn't probe. Just watches. That, somehow, makes all the difference. Because for once, I'm not being pushed. I'm not being cornered. I'm just being seen. And something in me dares to wonder. What would it look like if I actually chose me? He just waits. Doesn't press. Doesn't interrupt. Just sits quietly beside me, letting the silence fill the space. I don't know what I want anymore, I finally whisper. But I know it's not this. Brandon nods. Then gently turns my sketchbook to a clean page. Then maybe, he says softly, it's time to start figuring it out. For the first time in 27 years, someone isn't handing me a script. They're giving me a blank page. Underscore 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 underscore. I stand in front of the mirror, brushing my fingers over the collar of my blue blouse. Not designer, like Brielle would wear, but clean, crisp, and mine. My hair's pulled back simply. I've worn mascara and lip gloss, not to impress, but because I wanted to. Brandon will be here in 20 minutes. My stomach flips like laundry in a dryer. A whole year. We've been together a year. And tonight, I'm bringing him to Sunday dinner. My phone buzzes, again. A third reminder text from Aunt Gloria. Don't be late this time. Followed by one from Brielle. Mom's making duck. Your favorite smirking face. It isn't my favorite. It's hers. Right on time, Brandon's motorcycle rumbles into the driveway. I peek through the blinds. He looks up at my apartment and waves, helmet in one hand, his smile wide and warm, even from 3 floors up. I grab my purse and head downstairs. With every step toward him, the weight pressing on my chest lightens just a little. Ready for the firing squad, he asks, holding out the spare helmet. As ready as I'll ever be. I climb on behind him, my arms wrapping around his waist. His leather jacket smells like pine and engine oil, real smells. Not the cold, manufactured sharpness of my uncle's cologne. The ride to my family's house takes 12 minutes. Too short. As we walk up the brick path, I murmur, remember, they're going to judge everything. Your clothes. Your job. Even how you hold your fork. Brandon adjusts the collar of his jacket, calm as ever. I've met difficult people before. Not like them. Before we even reach the front step, the door swings open. Aunt Gloria stands there, framed in gold light, pearl earrings swinging slightly. Her eyes travel from Brandon's boots to his hair, her polite smile freezing into something tighter. Jessa. On time. How surprising. She pulls the door open wider. And this must be Brian. Brandon, I say, correcting her without flinching. Brandon Miller. Of course. She says it in the same tone she uses for the dry cleaner. Your uncle is in the dining room. Brandon carefully wipes his boots on the mat and offers his hand. Thank you for having me, Mrs. Turner. She takes it between 2 fingers like she's afraid of grease smudging her nails. The walk through the foyer feels longer than usual. Brandon's work boots echo louder than anything on the polished wood floors. Uncle Walter sits at the head of the long table, napkin already tucked into his collar. Brielle is to his right. Her husband Charles stands near the bay window, sipping amber liquid from a crystal glass. No one rises. This is Brandon, I say. My voice is steadier than I expected. My partner. Brandon steps forward, hand extended. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir. Uncle Walter eyes Brandon's hand, calloused, strong, the kind that builds and fixes things. He shakes it, briefly. He works at Candler's garage, I continue. He's leading their electric vehicle conversion program for vintage cars. A mechanic, my uncle says, raising a single eyebrow. How enterprising. There's growing demand, Brandon replies easily, pulling out my chair. The waiting list for our custom EV conversions is at 18 months. And what university did you attend, Brandon? Walter asks as Gloria pours the wine. Community college for my certification. Then Tesla's technical training program. Specialized in electric powertrains. Walter's mouth twitches. No 4-year degree? Brandon's expression doesn't flicker. Not everyone needs one to be successful. Gloria's smile is bright and brittle. Some people are just happy with simpler aspirations, Richard. Under the table, Brandon finds my hand. His thumb presses lightly against mine. I grip it tighter. So, Jessa, Brielle says, voice honeyed. Mother tells me you're still doing that, garage art? Considering business school, after all? Brielle adds, her tone light but loaded. Charles knows a few people on the Harvard admissions board. I'm not applying to business school, I say evenly. The clink of silverware halts like a sudden skip in a record. Of course you are, Uncle Walter replies, setting down his knife. We discussed this. No, I say, locking eyes with him. You discussed it. I said no. Charles clears his throat, clearly uncomfortable. Maybe we should move on. Markets have been volatile this quarter. Brandon, tell us more about your work. At the garage. Gloria interjects before Brandon can respond. Yes. Is it fulfilling? Fixing other people's cars? Brandon sets his fork down gently. I don't just fix cars, Mrs. Turner. I design and build custom electric systems that reduce carbon emissions while preserving the original style of classic vehicles. He pauses just long enough to meet her gaze. My latest project was featured in Automotive Engineering Monthly. Ah, a trade magazine, Uncle Walter says dismissively. A peer-reviewed journal, actually, Brandon says, not missing a beat. Dinner continues in the same rhythm, loaded questions, subtle digs, and condescending remarks. Brielle throws me glances of concern that feel more performative than sincere. Brandon answers everything with the same quiet dignity, a calm strength they neither recognize nor deserve. When dessert arrives, chocolate soufflé, one of Brielle's favorites, Uncle Walter dabs his mouth with his napkin and sets it aside. Jessa, he begins, we need to discuss your future. This, defiance has gone on long enough. Defiance? I repeat, voice steady. We've been patient, he continues. We gave you time to explore this little rebellion. His gaze cuts to Brandon. But surely, you understand, Jessa was raised for better than. Better than what? I ask, tone sharp now. Better than building something with her own 2 hands? Better than being happy? Throwing away her potential on garage trash, he finishes coldly. Brandon shifts beside me, his spine straightening. Richard, Gloria hisses under her breath. Not at the table. If not now, Margaret, when? Walter says, voice rising. When do we tell our daughter she's making the worst mistake of her life? Then, to me, what will people say? The daughter of a respected academic, working in a coffee shop, dating a mechanic, I finish for him. Jessa, Brielle leans in, voice sweetened with faux concern. This isn't like you. You're smart. You could do anything. I am doing something, I say. Something I love. With someone who respects me. Respects you? Uncle Walter laughs bitterly. He's using you. What can he possibly offer you? Happiness, I say, simply. Gloria dabs at the corners of her eyes with a linen napkin. We raised you for more than this, Jessa. Something inside me snaps. 27 years of bending, breaking, reshaping myself into the image they demanded, gone in one breath. No, I say, standing. My chair scrapes loudly against the hardwood. You raised me to be a carbon copy of Brielle. You hid my awards. You stole my college fund. You criticized every choice I made that didn't fit into your vision. You never saw me. That's enough, Walter barks, slamming his fist on the table. The crystal glasses jump, sloshing wine. I won't tolerate this disrespect in my home. Then I'll leave, I say, reaching for Brandon's hand. His is steady. Warm. If you walk out that door with him, Walter says, voice like steel, don't bother coming back. Gloria rises, walks calmly to the key basket near the door, and slides my house key off the ring. She places it on the entryway table like a transaction. Fine, she says, cool and collected. You've made your choice. Brielle's eyes shimmer with crocodile tears. Jessa, please. Think about what you're doing. Brandon stands beside me, close but not controlling. His voice is low. Whatever you choose, I'm here. I take one last look at the room. The chandelier I was never allowed to touch. The family portraits where I'm always blurred in the background. The polished silver reflecting a distorted version of us all. Goodbye, I say, voice cracking but certain. We walk out together. The door closes behind us with a final, quiet click. In the driveway, I inhale deeply. The night air is crisp with the first signs of autumn. It tastes like freedom. Inside our apartment, the calendar on the wall marks the date, October 3rd. It's been 3 years since I walked out of my uncle's dining room, 3 years of building something from nothing. The calendar on the wall is now covered in scribbles, reminders, and dreams written in 2 distinct handwritings, mine, looping, artistic, and Brandon's, small, compact, and deliberate. I drop my tote bag onto the counter in our cozy apartment and kick off my shoes. The scent of espresso and vanilla clings to my clothes from the day's shift, but I don't mind it anymore. The manager at Motorhead's Cafe promoted me last month, and next week I'll be training the new hires. People listen when I speak now. My voice matters. Jess. Brandon calls from the bedroom. Come check this out. He's sitting cross-legged on our bed, surrounded by color-coded notes and thick certification books. His EV systems exam is tomorrow, and he's been preparing for months. The mattress dips slightly in the middle, the comforter is mismatched with the pillowcases, but it's our bed. Our space. There's no judgment here. I just did another practice test, he says, eyes bright. 92%. I slide my arms around his chest from behind, resting my cheek against his neck. You're going to crush it. Above the bed, a collage covers the wall, our shared vision. My vehicle sketches, Brandon's circuit diagrams, cutouts from Modern Electric, and a photo of us grinning like kids at last summer's Clean Energy Expo. In one corner, a small stack of textbooks from the night classes I've been taking at the community college. Communications. Marketing. Design integration. Things I used to think couldn't coexist with art. Remember when we couldn't pay the electric bill? I say, glancing around the room that's slowly evolved from bare walls and hand-me-downs to something warm and intentional. Every wrench on Brandon's shelf. Every framed drawing. Every piece of furniture we built or bartered for, each one is a decision we made. 6 months later, I'm standing in an auditorium seat watching Brandon walk across the stage, diploma in hand. His EV certification isn't just rare, it's valuable. Before he even gets back to his seat, 2 companies have already sent him messages on LinkedIn. His mother sits beside me, her hand warm around mine. She cried when he introduced me the first time, not out of judgment, but because she was happy her son had found someone who truly saw him. When they call his name, I cheer so loudly I nearly lose my voice. That night, Brandon opens a letter from Green Circuit, a clean energy startup about 30 minutes from the city. The offer is generous, more than either of us ever imagined starting out. We could get a better place, he says gently. Maybe something with a bit more light. You know that condo complex near the park? I smile, already picturing the tiny balcony those units have. I could set up my easel there, I say. Paint in the morning sun instead of next to the radiator. Then let's do it, he says. And the way he looks at me, that spark in his eyes like the world just got a little bigger, makes every late bill, every shared instant noodle dinner, every tearful night worth it. My own career shift takes longer, but it comes. My manager at Motorheads mentions me to her brother-in-law, who works in communications at a local tech startup. She handles customer complaints better than anyone I've met, she tells him. And you should see what she did with our in-store menu designs. A month later, I have new business cards, Jessa Lang, communications specialist. My new desk has a window that faces a park. I use both sides of myself now, my creative instincts and my growing business savvy, in tandem. We don't need my family's validation to feel proud of what we've built. But sometimes, the silence still echoes. Like phantom pain from a wound I no longer want to carry. The rare phone calls from Aunt Gloria still end the same. When will you come to your senses? The Christmas card arrives, like clockwork. Their annual photo, Uncle Walter, Aunt Gloria, Brielle, and her surgeon husband. In the glossy photo, Brielle and her husband stand posed in front of their flawlessly decorated Christmas tree. The absence of my presence is as loud as the string of gold ribbon wrapped tightly around the branches. A missing daughter, a missing sister, cut from the frame but not from the narrative they still try to control. Brielle sends occasional texts now. Superficial check-ins. Polished phrases that feel less like connection and more like surveillance. Hope you're doing well. Just checking in. I respond in kind. All good here. Hope Boston's treating you well. Our bond as twins feels severed, not by miles, but by conscious decision. I chose authenticity. She chose loyalty to the illusion. The boldest move comes months later. One of my father's old colleagues visits Atlanta on a university panel. He invites me to coffee, smiles too tightly, and offers a job, communications assistant at his consulting firm. The role comes with an unspoken condition, proximity. Compliance. Return to the family fold. I politely decline. Delete his number before my tea cools. Change my email address that night. Brandon and I are in the kitchen making dinner when my phone buzzes with a news alert. I nearly drop the wooden spoon into the sauce. What is it? Brandon asks, watching my face shift. I turn the screen toward him. The headline reads: University investigating Professor Richard Turner for misconduct with graduate student. There's my father's face, staring back at me, expression tight, defensive, the same look he wore whenever I disappointed him. The article outlines an inappropriate relationship with a doctoral candidate. Misappropriation of department funds. A formal investigation. Suspension pending outcome. Brandon doesn't need to ask. He already knows. My phone buzzes again. Brielle. Family emergency. Call immediately. Before I can even blink, another notification, voicemail. My mother's voice crackles through. Jessa, please. We need family unity during this difficult time. Call us back. Please. I stare at the phone. Then I set it face down on the counter and stir the sauce. The aroma of garlic and crushed tomatoes fills the room. The irony is impossible to ignore. For 3 years, I was a ghost. A shame. An absence to be explained away. But now, with their curated image cracking like porcelain, I'm suddenly worth acknowledging. Brandon watches me carefully, not pushing. They only want me now because they need something, I say. He nods. Family shows up before the crisis. Not just during it. That night, I sit at my desk and compose a short email. I wish you well but cannot engage at this time. Jessa. I hit send. And sleep more deeply than I have in weeks. The fallout is swift. My father is formally suspended. His reputation, once airtight, disintegrates across faculty threads and academic blogs. Brielle and her husband quietly moved to Boston. Some report it's for a new opportunity. I know better. It's about distance, from scandal, from shame. Gloria's social circle crumbles. Her phone, once filled with brunch invites and gala reminders, goes silent. The society pages stop printing her name. The empire they built on image, status, and suppression folds in on itself, like a sandcastle pulled into the tide. The same people who once nodded approvingly when I was excluded now whisper behind gloved hands, their curiosity sharp and delicious. I don't gloat. I don't grieve. I simply watch. From a distance. Brandon finds me on our balcony one evening, wrapped in a blanket, eyes on the stars. "What are you thinking?" he asks, settling beside me. I pause. That I might be the only family member they have left. He looks at me, really looks. "What does that mean for you?" "I don't know. Not yet. When those who once cast you out return, not with apologies but with need, what does true integrity require?" Weeks later, I spot them before they see me. Standing together in the visitor parking lot of Horizon Technologies, my workplace. My father's posture, once straight-backed with pride, is now slumped forward, bent beneath consequences. My mother clutches her handbag, not the Prada she flaunted at luncheons, but something muted, something discount. Their car, a dented beige Buick, sits awkwardly between the sleek electric sedans of my coworkers. They look lost. And I'm not sure yet if I want to be found. My stomach knots, 3 years of silence shattered by their unannounced arrival. "Jessa," my father calls across the parking lot. His voice lacks the thunder it once carried but still lands with weight. I straighten instinctively, posture snapping into place like a reflex. The result of years spent under their microscope, measured at every dinner, every holiday, every parent-teacher conference. "What are you doing here?" I ask. They approach slowly, like I'm a stray animal that might run. "Maybe I should." "You look well," my mother says. Her eyes flick over my neatly pressed blouse and slate gray slacks. She's thinner than I remember, the tension around her mouth now etched in permanent lines. Her pearl earrings dangle like ghosts of the life they once flaunted. "We need to talk," my father says. The words sit stiff and unfamiliar on his tongue, like he rehearsed them in a mirror. "Somewhere private." "This is my workplace," I reply, glancing at my watch. "I've got 10 minutes until a meeting." His jaw tightens, then forces itself to relax. "We've made mistakes, Jessa. Terrible mistakes. We need your help." My mother's voice trembles. "Your sister, she won't take us in." The words hit like a sudden gust of winter wind. "Brielle turned you away?" I ask, blinking. "She says Jonathan's family wouldn't approve," my mother says softly. "They're conservative. We've lost everything. The settlement from the university took what the legal fees didn't. The house is going up for auction next week." My father steps closer. I catch the scent of his cologne, cheap, chemical, desperate. "We're still family," he says. "That has to count for something." Family. The word hangs in the air between us like smoke. Choking. Heavy. Toxic. For a heartbeat, the old instincts kick in, fix it, help, make it better. Maybe now, finally, they'll see me. "I have a spare room," my mouth begins. Then I see it. That flicker in his eyes. Satisfaction. Not warmth. Not relief. Victory. The hunter, watching his prey step right into the trap. "Jessa." Brandon's voice cuts across the lot. He strides toward me, a brown paper bag in hand, our usual Wednesday lunch. Sandwiches, coffee, and whatever weird new fruit he found at the market. His presence grounds me. Solid. Real. Here. "Everything okay?" he asks, stepping beside me. My mother's gaze lands on the Horizon Technologies logo on his polo shirt. She blinks. The last she knew, he worked in a garage. In their minds, he always would. "Brandon," I say calmly, "these are my parents. They were just leaving." "No, we weren't," my father snaps, dropping the act. "This is family business." I turn to face him fully, really looking. When I needed you, I ask, my voice quiet but unwavering, what did you do? He looks taken aback. Unprepared. When I needed family, what did you do? We were trying to protect you, he says, raising his voice. From this kind of life. He gestures broadly at the sleek but modest building behind me. If you'd just listened, my mother adds quickly, you wouldn't be working in this place. And there it is. The truth behind the visit. Not regret. Not love. Judgment. Dressed in rags. This place, I say, voice steady, is where I design propulsion systems for electric vehicles. My name is on 3 patents. People value my work here. Brandon's hand slides gently to the small of my back. Not to steer me, not to shield me, just to remind me I'm not alone. You disowned me, I say. You made your choice. And now I'm making mine. My father's face tightens. After everything we sacrificed. I need to get back to work. I take a step toward the entrance, Brandon beside me. Security, Brandon says softly to the guard at the front desk, please make sure these 2 aren't allowed back on the property. You can't do this, my father shouts. His voice sharpens with the authority he used to wield like a sword. Jessa Lang Turner, we are your parents. I pause. Not in hesitation. But in acknowledgement. I know, I say. And I keep walking. Yes. You are, I say, holding my father's gaze. And I wish you well. But this, I motion to the empty space between us, this is over. Jim, the security guard, retired Atlanta PD with a soft drawl and kind eyes, steps forward, professionalism cloaking the steel in his stance. Folks, I'm going to need to escort you to your vehicle. My mother's face collapses. The country club women were right about you, she mutters, voice cracking. Selfish. Always so selfish. I don't flinch. I watch as Jim guides them across the lot. My father walks like he's still in control, shoulders tight with unspent rage. My mother dabs at her eyes, her tissue wrinkled and plain, not a monogrammed linen one like before. Their dented beige Buick pulls away, tires crunching across gravel. I wait for the wave of something, grief, guilt, even a flash of triumph. But instead, a strange and beautiful calm settles over me. You okay? Brandon asks gently, his hand finding mine. Yes, I answer, honestly. I really am. We walk back through the glass doors of Horizon Technologies together, the past left behind in the parking lot, right where it belongs. The weight I've carried since childhood, the desperate hunger for approval I was never going to receive, slips from my shoulders like a shed skin. I am Jessa Lang. I design propulsion systems. I make my own choices. And for the first time in my life, walking away feels like walking toward something. The warm soil clings to my fingers as I press young seedlings into the garden bed. Our backyard isn't big, but it's ours. A quilt spreads across the grass nearby, and Ellie, 18 months old and curious as ever, stacks wooden blocks with intense focus, brow furrowed in pure toddler concentration. Those tomatoes going in okay? Lillian calls from the kitchen door, wiping her hands on a worn apron. Brandon's mom, all warmth and quiet strength. Perfect timing, I say, patting down the last mound of earth. Great drainage, plenty of morning sun. She steps outside, watching Ellie with a soft smile. She's got your artist's hands. Look at how she places those blocks, like each one's a little sculpture. I glance over and smile, warmth blooming in my chest. It's such a simple thing to say, but one I never heard from the woman who raised me. Inside our modest bungalow, the hallway is lined with framed photos, Brandon receiving his EV certification, his arm snug around my waist. Me, beaming beside my first full vehicle design, implemented by his company. Our wedding under the big oak tree, no pomp, just love, and people who chose to show up. The kitchen smells like rosemary and garlic. Brandon moves with ease as he sets the table, no crystal, no showy place settings. Just mismatched stoneware plates I collected over time, each one with its own memory. Need any help? I ask, brushing dirt from my hands. Lillian waves me off. Go wash up, Jess. You've been playing in the dirt all afternoon. When we gather at the table, it's just us, Brandon, Lillian, our close friend Sarah, and me, with Ellie squealing in her high chair. The conversation flows easily, like a creek on a summer afternoon. No probing questions, no subtle digs. How's that electric conversion project coming? Sarah asks Brandon as she passes him the bread. Almost there, he says, eyes gleaming. Just waiting on the custom battery housings Jessa designed. The ones with the heat regulation layer? Lillian adds, proud. I nod, still surprised sometimes when people remember the details of my work. Brandon raises his glass of lemonade. To building the family we choose, he says, meeting my eyes. And to seeing each other clearly. Everyone drinks. I swallow past the sudden tightness in my throat. The contrast to that final dinner at my uncle's house couldn't be sharper if it were outlined in neon. Later, after Ellie's tucked into bed and the dishes are cleared, I spot it, an envelope on my desk, postmarked last week. My father's handwriting. Still perfect. Still precise. The handwriting on the envelope is unmistakable, precise, slanted slightly right, still unopened. The third letter in as many months. My therapist, Dr. Winters, says I don't have to read them. Not until I'm ready. Maybe not ever. She's helped me recognize the pattern, how control once dressed itself as love. How affection was conditional, measured in expectations and silence. How the prison I escaped was disguised as family. She taught me my worth doesn't come from their recognition. That boundaries aren't walls, they're doorways to safety. The doorbell rings just as Lillian buttons Ellie into her baptism dress, a tiny ivory thing trimmed in lace. Our living room fills quickly, Brandon's siblings, their noisy, beautiful children, co-workers turned confidants, neighbors bearing casseroles and cornbread. These are the people who stayed. The ones who chose us. Jessa, a voice says behind me. I turn. Amanda, the intern from work, stands near the doorway, clutching a gift bag, her shoulders tentative. The one whose dad burned her art school application? I ask gently. She nods. I just wanted to say, thanks. For listening. I signed the lease yesterday. I reach for her hand and squeeze. The first step is always the hardest. But it gets better. Across the room, another envelope sits on the side table. This one opened. A silver baby bracelet rests inside, delicate and engraved. Ellie's name, in soft script. A note in Brielle's handwriting. I understand now. I'm sorry it took me so long. When you're ready, I'm here. No pressure. No demands. No guilt. Just a door, not locked nor thrown wide, just slightly ajar. On my terms. As twilight paints the clouds pink, I settle onto the porch swing. Brandon joins me, Ellie asleep across our laps, her breath even and warm. Good day, he asks softly. The best kind, I say. The swing creaks gently as I push us forward with one bare foot. Sometimes, the family you're born into can't see your worth. But the family you build, they show you, every day, what love truly means. Behind us, our modest home glows golden. Not perfect. Not polished. Just real. And completely, beautifully ours. If you've made it this far, thank you, for walking through this journey with me. There was a time when I believed love had to be earned, that worth was something handed down by people too broken to give it freely. I spent years trying to be the version of myself my family would finally approve of, only to realize I was disappearing in the process. Reclaiming my voice, my space, and my future wasn't easy. It came with grief, with silence, with hard choices. But it also came with freedom. And Ellie will grow up knowing she's loved just for being her, not for how well she fits someone else's mold. If my story resonates with you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever had to walk away from someone to become who you're meant to be? Have you found, or are you still finding, your chosen family? Share your thoughts, your stories, or simply a word of support. And if you're in the middle of your own transformation, let me offer this advice: you don't owe anyone access to the version of you they tried to break. Set boundaries without apology. Speak truth even when your voice shakes. And above all, choose people who choose you back. You are not selfish for protecting your peace. You are not wrong for wanting more. You are not alone. So drop a comment, show some love, and if this story meant something to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes, the right story at the right moment can change everything. Let's keep building a world where healing is celebrated, where chosen families are honored, and where being real is finally enough. I'm listening. We all are.